Welcome to a brief Bible message. One of the more fascinating books of the Bible is the book of Daniel. The first 6 chapters contains accounts of faith that inspire both young and old. The last 6 chapters are filled with apocalyptic visions that challenge even the most advanced Bible students and scholars. This book has been attacked and abused by many people. It is attacked by liberals who deny its inspiration and abused by many who have taken its visions out of context to support all kinds of wild theories concerning the second coming of Christ. But when this book is properly read and understood in context, the book of Daniel can bring us to greater faithfulness in our service to God and strengthen our faith in the inspiration of the Bible. In this brief Bible message, I will introduce the book beginning with what we know of Daniel and his times. The name Daniel means God is my judge. He was a person of deep and abiding faith. As a youth, he made up his mind that he would not defile himself. When he was old, he continued to serve God despite threats against his life. God blessed Daniel because of his faith. He rose to great heights in the kingdoms of Babylon and Persia. He served as a statesman, a counselor to kings, and a prophet of God to the people. Daniel lived the same time as Jeremiah and Ezekiel. Jeremiah prophesied in Jerusalem before and during the Babylonian exile, and Ezekiel prophesied in Babylon among the exiles. Daniel prophesied in the capital of Babylon. Daniel was taken as a boy and lived through the captivity and saw Israel when they were freed by King Cyrus. Nothing is known of his personal life outside of the book. He came from one of Judah's prominent families, if not from royal blood. At an early age, he was taken from his family to be trained in the courts of Babylon. And whether he ever married, we just do not know. Now, there are some dates that we need to remember. 612 BC is the fall of Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. Assyria had ruled the world since the days of Tiglath-Pileser in 845 BC. Nabopolassar came to the throne in Babylon and rebelled against the Assyrians in 625 BC. Nebuchadnezzar, son of Nabopolassar, was the general who led the Babylonian army against Nineveh, defeating it in 612 BC. In 605 BC, the Battle of Carchemish, establishing Babylonian domination. Pharaoh Necho of Egypt came to fight the Babylonians at Carchemish. Nebuchadnezzar defeated the Egyptians, sending them south through Judah. At Jerusalem, Nebuchadnezzar heard of his father's death, and so he returned to assume the throne in Babylon. The first group of Jewish captives were taken along with Daniel and his friends in about 597 BC. A second remnant taken to Babylon would be Jehoiachin. Now remember, Jehoiachin, Jeconiah, and Coniah were all the same guy as far as we can tell. He followed the reign of his father, Jehoiakim. He lasted just 3 months when Nebuchadnezzar took him and 10,000 Jews to Babylon. The second group of captives included Ezekiel. In 586 BC, the fall of Jerusalem and the temple was destroyed. Zedekiah was installed as a puppet king in Jerusalem. He was a very weak king. 11 years later, Jerusalem was totally devastated by Babylonian forces. And you can read of this in 2 Kings chapter 25. A third group was taken into Babylonian captivity, but Jeremiah was among those who stayed behind. And that would be 536 BC. The first remnant returns to Jerusalem. Babylon falls in 539 BC. Cyrus, king of Persia, sends the first remnant back under the leadership of Zerubbabel. The foundation of the temple was soon started, but the temple was not completed until 516 BC. In 457 BC, a second remnant returns to Jerusalem. Ezra the priest returns with this group. He leads a much needed revival, and that would be 444 BC. A third remnant returns during this time. This group is led by Nehemiah. Under his leadership, the walls of Jerusalem are rebuilt. Together with Ezra, they restore much of the religion. And Daniel lived through most of these times. He was among the first group of captives taken to Babylon. He continued in captivity over the entire 70 years of captivity. Daniel was certainly a remarkable man. His greatness was recognized by Ezekiel, and you can read this in Ezekiel 14 and verse 20, and Ezekiel 28 and the verses 3. I look forward to giving highlights of each chapter in the coming weeks. This has been not so brief, a brief Bible message brought to you by the Hazel Street Church of Christ at 4015 South Hazel Street, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We invite you to come and worship God with us each Sunday.